guys want to introduce yourselves a little bit? Tell us about yourselves.
Sure. We are a blues rock band from New York City. We basically started, me and my brother, in this room. We just started writing songs as young kids, and we started to realize that we had a really good connection musically, and it just kind of really worked for us. So we decided to start this band as a passion, and we just wrote together. We decided to record, and on our EP, we actually did like most of it. We had one of our friends do the drums, but like everything else was us. So that's how we've been doing it, really, just the two of us. The band officially started, I think, around 2018, 2019, around that time. Actually, it started because I was doing a senior project for my undergrad, and I was like, let me use this as an advantage or as a way to push myself to do music. So I did my project about music, about our band, and it kind of just took off from there. We were like, wow, this is really fun. So why don't we continue doing it? Awesome. So then we started playing shows and stuff, and that's how we solidified, actually becoming a band.
You guys both play a bunch of instruments, or are you just primarily Marc guitar and Bekah singing?
He's the magic.
I first learned piano from a young age, started off with classical piano.
We both did.
We both did, actually, in Lucy Moses.
Yeah, Kaufman and Lucy Moses School.
So we started at a young age. I did that for about 7 years. And then around the age of 11, I started picking up guitar. Transitioning from guitar, then I started picking up bass. I wanted to learn more and more instruments because my main goal in the end was be able to like produce music and record basically all the band parts except for drums. Drums is like completely foreign to me.
Actually, it's kind of funny. I'm the same way, except I'm a trombone player, so I have zero dexterity.
Yeah, and even aside from piano, like when I was taking guitar lessons, I took guitar lessons with a fantastic teacher, Brian Larkin. He lives here in Queens. And even learning guitar, although I learned tabs because that's like what's mainly used for learning new music in terms of guitar, he really wanted to incorporate music theory as well and make sure that I understood foundation, at least a basic level of music theory. And that also made a huge impact in songwriting ability, knowing where you could take a song rather than a standard 1-4-5 progression.
I think one of the best things one of my professors taught me in school when learning theory was he said, here's the rules, you're going to learn them, and then when you leave this class, you're going to break them. And
100%.
That's the coolest part of music, is that it's so mathematical and people don't realize that. But then when you break the formula, pretty much, and when you add in your own taste, that's where the creative part comes in. And that's where we try to incorporate like different genres, and we're able to do that by breaking the rules, right? So that's just a cool part of being artistic and creative and having that freedom.
It's really cool. That's awesome. Who's a primary like songwriter? Who writes the lyrics mainly? Like, where do you guys mostly take inspiration, stuff like that?
We both do. So how would you say our process is? Like, I would come to you with lyrics, and then you kind of...
So it could go either way. Either I'll have like a chord progression idea and I'll bring it to her, she'll come up with some melody. And then after we come up with like the structure of the song, then she'll write lyrics to it or take one of her old poems or something and apply it to the format of the song.
Yeah.
Or it could be the other way. She'll come to me with the melody idea and she'll try to, I guess, hum out a certain melody, and I'll try to fit chords or write a song to that.
It's kind of crazy because he's the only one that can like know what I'm thinking about like before I even write it. That's so like awesome. I'll just go na na na, and he's like, oh, okay, I know, and he'll just play it, and I'm like, wow, it's exactly what I heard in my head. He has a fantastic ear, which is really great, but on top of that, like I think he just gets my vision because we have a similar vision, so I don't have to like over explain it.
I feel like that comes from you guys just being not only siblings, you guys playing together for so long.
And also in terms of songwriting, I feel like because of the fact that it's just me and her writing these songs together, it's also a level of trust with the music that you write. I've had situations where I've written a song with another friend, and then they would take that song and do something else with it without like asking me my thoughts or anything, and completely took that song under their own. So situations like that, it's hard to avoid, especially when you're working with other group of people that you don't necessarily have that trust with. So keeping our music within us and writing within us, and then having people come learn our music, it's definitely been more comfortable, I would say.
That brings me to like
Yeah.
another question because I'm one of three brothers. I've never been on the same page with my brothers when it comes to anything artistically. Is there ever a time when you guys like almost aren't on the same page? Like what happens? Like have you guys ever like has there ever been tension or anything like that? How does that work when like because you guys are family? It must be awkward when stuff like that happens.
To be honest, we're kind of lucky in the sense where we get along really well. So like the only time where we'll clash is kind of like artistically. Like for example, I'm a little bit more, you could say like eclectic with my style. Like I like to do more to the song where he's more like straightforward, like let's just do it bass guitar drums. And I'm like, no, let's add harmonies, let's add, a little bit of folk, let's add, this and that. And he's like, no. So but we end up coming to the same conclusion in the end. Like we never like whatever product we put out, we both agreed on. So, and we're both proud of. So we never like clash per se, but we do go back and forth with ideas.
Not only musically, but having a sibling, like do you feel like you guys can just talk to each other when things aren't going well personally in your lives? Like you guys are just each other's sounding board, not just for music?
Yeah, definitely, especially in the situation that we're in where we're not really interacting with other friends or engaging socially with other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice to have a sibling that you could get along with and share anything that's on your mind or any anxiety that you're feeling in terms of school, in terms of personal stuff, and any type of emotion. It's very helpful to have someone that you can speak to that's like not really like, that you look at as like a parent or
Yeah, like
a superior figure, but
Yeah.
more like a friend or someone that could relate closely.
And something that's really cool that we do too is like we're both really well, the reason we haven't been producing and doing as many shows and producing as many songs as we want is because we're so engulfed in our studies at the moment, and we went through a lot of personal experiences that were really hard for us during the pandemic and a little bit before then too. So we just kind of set back a little bit. But what's cool about what you said in your question is that, just because we're not putting it out on social media and stuff doesn't mean it's not happening here. So like at the end of, I'm in law school, he's in medical school. At the end of our crazy, well, not medical school yet, you're going towards medical school. At the end of our, hectic school day, I grab a guitar, he grabs the bass, we're in the living room on the couch, just like, let's let it out because, that's the only highlight of our day right now. And that's what's really cool about music is that it's everywhere you go, no matter what, no matter pandemic, no matter what's going on in the world, I'm lucky I have him, but even if I didn't, music is in me. So it's like always a backbone to lean on.
Would you also agree that just both of you having each other there, it's almost like you come home and it's like you feel motivated immediately because you have someone there to write music with, you have someone there to play with?
But yeah, that's true. We do that. And like sometimes like we'll both get it in ruts, and we're just like down in the dumps really, like we can't get creative, we can't, and the other one kind of pulls it out. So I'll be like, sometimes I'll be songwriting and I'm like, wow, this sucks. He's like, no, it doesn't. Watch what we could do. And then, we lift each other up in that sense. Because we're our own worst critics. There's been so many times where I've written something, crumbled it up, thrown it out, and he'll pick it out of the trash and do something really cool with it.
I totally agree. We were talking about before, especially how music can be like, it can be your outlet, but I feel like almost when you are a musician, you're so passionate about something or almost something, an experience does happen, you almost don't want to listen to music. You almost don't want to make something because it makes you upset.
That circles back to my concept of not letting your self-doubt control you artistically, because just the same way that they got there, you can get there too. It's part of a process. You can't just sit down, write a song and expect it to be perfect. Like there's many times where we've revised songs, redone songs, right?
We'll take a song that originally started off like as a simple jazz piece and it ended up being like a hard bluesy rock type of song. Like we'll take a song and if it's just not the right feel, completely transform it and try to find what we think is the best fit for that song.
Do you guys find it a little bit difficult to like stick out, not only to like the rock genre, but because you guys have that blues aspect, it's not as known, especially to like younger people?
So we're trying to, I guess, come up with creative ways in which we could take more historic type of music.
We want to incorporate kind of that older sound because that older sound is authentic. and that's what we're trying to do. But I don't feel like it's a flop with everyone, because when I show other people that don't know us, I'm talking outside of our friends, the music, like I feel like everyone has their own like one pick on the EP at least that they really really vibe with. So like that's really cool that it's not like only one song off our EP was good, like almost every single song, I think every single song on our EP has been said as a favorite in itself. So that's really cool that we could speak to different people, because I feel like our songs are not exactly all the same style. It's not like this genre doesn't exist. It's just you gotta either go all the way or it's not really, you know. So we're just gonna keep going all the way as much as we can.
Do you ever feel like you get discrimination just being a woman in the blues world, being a vocalist?
Yes and no. So no, because sometimes people find it really refreshing and they're like, wow, that's really cool, and that kind of sets us apart.
Yeah.
I feel so like it's like a really marketable thing, because people it sets us apart from like being like every other band, so that's our benefit. But the negative aspect of it is just the pressure of being a certain way, right? And this is a problem that's been happening for many years, right? The idea of the female and how she's supposed to look. So for me, I feel like I don't fit that stereotypical look or expectation at all. Right? So I have black hair, I have, a curvier body, I have a different, I'm biracial, I'm Ukrainian and Peruvian. So I'm not that typical, uh, blonde, skinny girl that, is usually in the limelight, right? So for me, it's just, that's a benefit, but also it's really hard to step out. It's really hard to like, even taking a picture and posting, I'm like, I have that idea in my head, is this good? Like, is this good enough, right? And that's what I'm trying to challenge myself, just as a person as well as an artist. As an artist, I mean, it's just to get over that, right? Because the more people start getting over it, the more it's acceptable. So as a female, yeah, it's hard, because not just musically, but because socially, there's just a lot of pressure, right? So you look on Instagram now, a lot of people are, over filtered, over, a lot of plastic, a lot of, and it's like, damn, if I don't look like that, am I not going to be successful? And that's the hard part. But other than that, I use it to my advantage. Why not, right? Like setting myself apart and being unique and just embracing that. It's not just females. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the problem, that people think it's only females. It's also males. It's just people in general are just like to be mean. And it's like, you have to, as an artist, unfortunately, you have to really learn to get over that.
100%. You have to learn to take criticism.
Yeah.
And especially being a musician, I feel like, or just an artist in general, you're your own biggest critic. You mentioned how obviously this past year has affected all of us, but you guys were, you touched on it a little bit. Would you mind expanding on some of the experience you guys have had during COVID? Like why maybe, and you guys haven't been, maybe DETOUR hasn't been as active on social media?
We went through a loss. We had a hard time, coping with the pandemic in itself. And then, a close family member, her grandfather, passed away from the virus. So it was very hard emotionally, and it's like, how do you cope with that? It's kind of, sometimes music is your guiding point, but sometimes you can't even pick up a pencil and write, So there's kind of the two extremes, I think, where sometimes it gives you that motivation to kind of let it out musically, and sometimes you just can't move. And I feel like as time has gone, we're healing through that, and we're starting to write more, and it's hard for us to talk about, but it's how you come through it, right? It's how you what you do with it at the end of the day that will make you succeed. We have new songs coming out soon that we want to work on, and we want to go back in the studio and not let that break us as artists artistically. So we're just going to keep moving forward, and we'll come back soon with some great stuff.
Thank you guys so much for your time. This was phenomenal. Do you guys have anything coming up? Do you want to plug anything? You have any performances, any singles, anything you guys want to share?
Sure. I mean, we have a song called Run that we're probably going to release as a single. I'm not sure when we're ready to get back into that studio mode. We're still trying to, cope with a lot of things, but that's going to be our next goal, right? I think
Yeah.
that'll be our next goal.
Yeah,
to do.
once things are starting keep progressing in terms of the virus, in terms of social life, being able to get together with the band and incorporate different people because like we mentioned earlier, we incorporate different people from different areas. So to be able to comfortably do that again, get into a studio, consistently rehearse and prepare this song, eventually we'll get back into that and hopefully release the single as soon as we can.
Thank you so much to Bekah and Marc for taking time out of their busy schedules to sit down and talk to us. And now here they are performing an acoustic version of their song, Run.
Baby, I'm not meant for you. I've fallen just a little too hard. Remind me how I'm in this place. That force to pull me hard. 'Cause the minute feels so right, but the days they feel so wrong. I'm petrified of starry nights where I look up alone and I just can't hold on. I think I'll run, just run. I think I'll run. Oh, just run. I'm chasing my own dignity in search of all the ones I've loved, I've loved, I know. So give me back my urgency that I need to move on, hold on, move on, hold on. 'Cause the minute feels so right, but the days they feel so wrong. I'm petrified of starry nights where I look up alone. I just can't hold on. I think I'll run, just run. I think I'll run. I'll just run, 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 run. I've given all my heart. No more time for second chances. Now that I've fallen apart, I'll run away from here. I've given all my heart. No more time for second chances. Now that I've fallen apart, now that I've fallen apart. I think I'll run. I think I'll run.
Thank you so much for watching episode 5 of The Basement. If you'd like to check out Bekah and Marc, make sure you follow their band's Instagram page @officialdetour. Link to that will be in the description of the video. Thank you so much again for checking us out. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and don't forget to say hi in the comments. We have one more episode for you guys with the amazing Tina, so make sure you check that out next week. I'm your host Lex Rhodes, and we'll see you next time on The Basement.